Hello, everybody. Welcome to the third official Evil Mojo Podcast. This episode is sponsored by me for Vora. So, before we get into this, it's been a minute since we've done this. Our last one was with Corvus. And, everybody's been working from home, a lot, but we've still been pushing out content, and we brought probably one of our coolest releases of the year now with this patch. So with that being said, though, if you ever wanted to catch up, maybe you haven't seen one of the past episodes, or maybe you just want to rewatch this one again, we are available also for audio on Spotify and iTunes, so be sure to check those out. And if you feel like it, you can give us some reviews. Why not? So you're probably wondering who all these people are, other than the names that's given to them. So I'm going to introduce everyone. I am Romanova, your host, community manager for Paladins. And joined with me, I have Kevin Reedon, a.k.a. Nico.
That's me.
He's our designer on Paladins. Designing the things. Designer of Vora. And we have Kyle Hickey, first time on the podcast. He is a tech artist. Kyle, say hi. Introduce yourself maybe for a second here.
Hi, it's nice to be here.
That's the technical greeting.
Wonderful. Yeah, you can tell he's a tech artist just by that. But
what does that mean?
I don't actually know.
Just that you're technically amazing. You provide the magic tech artist juice that makes everything else work in the game.
Oh, stop,
Oh, you.
And the lovely lady at the corner of the screen, that is Stephanie Panisello. Panisello, my bad. We went over this before, and I still messed it up. Panisello. I don't know why I thought there was an I in there. It's an E. And she is the voice of Vora. Welcome, Steph.
Woo! Hello. Hello.
Thank you for joining us.
Oh,
yes,
thank you
so much
for having me. Oh, man.
So, thank you. I know you've said, before we get into anything like we have a whole section for you, so be ready.
Yeah.
We were talking about, how this is your first time doing anything Vora related, with the community and stuff. So we're really happy to have you on the Paladin side here for, the next hour. So
Yay.
Thank you so much.
No, super excited to be here. Honestly, she was such a blast of voice. And so getting to finally connect, with the community and the fans for, Paladins, and then like Vora lovers out there, it's fantastic. So definitely glad to be here.
Absolutely. Well, with that being said, let's get into our interview portion with you about, you as Vora and just you as a voice actress as well. So the first thing, and I'll give you the spotlight here to go into it, is what is voice acting like?
Voice acting for me is almost like the ultimate freedom when it comes to acting in general. So, I've done, both on camera and motion capture and voice work specific and stuff. And what I love about voice work is that you are not kind of like restrained by anything. You could literally be absolutely anything. I have played little boys. I've been monsters. I've been badass women. I've been villains. I've had accents. I've had really interesting facially weird faces. All kinds of stuff. So even if that, I don't even know if that even was a word, but I absolutely love voice acting in general. It's so freeing and so fun. And that's why with this character with Vora, that was super exciting because she actually ended up being one of my first Latina characters to finally come out. So, so that was exciting.
Which I think is really cool. I know you worked with Thomas on this one. I didn't actually end up doing the direction for Vora, but part of what I love about working with voice talent is kind of like finding that mutual character, kind of, as you said, exploring that what if or that, who if I can use that phrase. Is that something that you also find to be kind of engaging from your end, like working with whatever whatever feeling is flowing at a given time?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, the thing is, you kind of discover characters. I feel like for me, one of the most exciting and fun parts about it is that, okay, as a voice actor, we don't always get a lot of heads up ahead of time of what we're about to get into. And so I'm really big on finding characters and finding moments and giving reasons for things. And, one thing that I had a lot of fun with this one, with Thomas and stuff was too, is like discovering how she was and how she would interact with the player too. Cause that was very unique to this character was, apparently, most Paladin characters, when you're in an idle state, they tend to just give you a little nudge to the player, like, hey, I should be moving or something like that. And you're kind of nice. And I wasn't, because I said, oh, Vora's not nice. Vora's going to give you an attitude, and she's not going to be the sweetest person to you if you're not doing anything in the game, And so that was really fun to kind of stay in character always and finding those unique reasons for why she acts the way she does, which I thought was really fantastic with this, was that for every character in the game, she has a response that's unique to that particular player. And I thought that was really fun because it justified all her reasons for why she does what she does. So that was really, really, really fun to discover.
What would Vora do? What would Vora say? The whole gamut.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, because that's the thing. To every character, she had a different reasoning for things. Like it would make sense. Like some of them, did things for selfish reasons, and others did it for this reason or that reason. She always had like a response to each one, as to like, yeah, you're doing this for the right reason, but did you really think about this? Or like, yeah, just for the sake of like vanity's sake, that's not what this is about. And so I love that she would just give it to you straight. Like she was not gonna, walk around that lightly. So,
right.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
I think that's one of the. Oh no, I was gonna say I think that's one of the funnest part about her is just that she does not. She doesn't care. She's gonna let you know, And but then she has this like gracefulness about her too while she's doing it, like, which is interesting.
Well, and I think the gracefulness, and we might be able to get into this, even though it's not technically animation, but when we talk with Kyle a little bit about tech art stuff, and Nico is probably good for this. I think some of the stuff when you say gracefulness, I think a lot that influenced like a lot of her movement too was I think they studied like ballet and like correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Like I don't want to get too off subject here, but isn't there some kind of influence? Like she even has like I think an emote where she does like kind of like a pirouette.
Fouette.
A fouette.
God bless you, Kevin.
Excuse me.
I work with the animation team pretty closely on my day-to-day job, and one of the big challenges with Vora is how do you animate this character whose weapon is bigger than her? And the one way we kind of came to terms with that was to have her interact with the weapon in sort of a dancey manner, kind of get some elegance out of the motions. That's a good reason why the animation team decided to lift Vora off the ground for most of her combat sequences. So we could give her like a more full range of motion, get more of that dancing elegance in her combos.
I think if I had a scythe large enough to kill people with, I would trip over it as I was running. So I'm right there with you.
You just don't have the grace of Vora.
I am not as graceful as Vora. I can 100%.
No, but that's what's beautiful about Vora. You got to prance around with that. You've got to own it, make it your own.
Yes, I can live vicariously through the gracefulness of Vora as I'm playing Vora. Not much grace required sitting at the desk, which I'm thankful for.
Absolutely. So just real quick to go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, I will say, though, that voicing her, I did know a little bit about that already, that she was going to be, she did have, this like dance kind of background to her. So I wish we always had like behind the scenes footage of like when we would voice things. But I I did take ballet when I was a kid, so like I knew some things. But yes, like even in the voice work, like I'm a very physical person, so I would kind of do like things that were very, you know, like in movement of like in the movement of dancing or whatever it was. I'm pretty sure I probably had my legs in like a in a very ballet stance. Knowing me, I probably did that. So I hope that did register and y'all could hear that. So
Yeah. When if you did any voice lines for capturing the objective, were you on point?
oh, absolutely.
Oh
Always
my
on
gosh.
Well done, Kyle.
Anyway,
Well
that's my time,
Well,
guys.
oh my
I'll talk to you later.
done. Get out.
I didn't know we hired you to do puns, but just to transition though, because we do have some more questions specifically about voice acting for you. You know, when did you first get started with voice acting in video games? Because obviously you have quite the track record so far. So
yeah, so I first started actually, so I started on the production side of games. So I started as a script supervisor within games, and I learned from like the absolute best, from the masters. And so I had my very first job was on a game called Final Fantasy Lightning Returns. And it was just NPC characters, right? But I remember playing a little boy, a little girl, and a tourist. That's when it first started. And then after that, I mean, that was back in 2013, I believe, is when the game came out. And then that was kind of like the first beginning, and then it just took off. So I also do a lot of motion capture. So I do full performance capture as well. So I do a lot of the physicality. So, you know, basic stunt work, basic gun training, all that stuff's played a huge factor in it. So I do voice and mocap all in one. But voiceover in general, I guess it started back in 2013, if we're going to say that was the beginning of the origin story of Stephanie's voice work. I don't know. So
did you get to wear the crazy suits while you're in the mocap room with the little dots all over it? I've seen those before at previous jobs I've had. Like I've walked by the animation rooms and like seen the people, and I'm like, oh, they must be shooting today. They're in the gray suit. So
yeah,
that's great.
You know it. Always. Yeah, you've got to wear the suit. The only fun part about it that some people don't always know is, or the question that I get sometimes is, how do you go to the bathroom? You know?
Carefully.
I will say the one thing, well,
gracefully.
Carefully, gracefully, and making sure that the audio is off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very important. Very important.
Yeah. But no, I definitely do wear the suit. It's funny because you're kind of like a robot when you're in those, because you've got wires, you've got packs, like battery packs in different places. You've got your head cam. Like you got to be very spatially aware of where you're at. So yeah.
That's great. That's awesome to hear too. Like you have like a very nice breadth of work there, just from like not just voice acting and doing all these other things. But my next question for you is, so many players in Paladins were ecstatic to hear a Latina voicing Vora. What does this kind of representation mean to you?
So, okay. It's so funny because most people have no idea that I am Latina. Like right off the bat, people make assumptions. They're like, oh no, there's no way. But I actually am. I'm first generation. So my mom's Colombian, my dad's from Spain. And my first language was actually Spanish. And so it's really funny because I don't always get those opportunities because visually, like if someone saw me, they wouldn't think it until I started talking in Spanish, which I am fluent. So for me, it was such a big deal to get to represent and get to voice a character that, you know, I did kind of make her own accent. It's a little bit of like a Colombian Spanish fusion in there. But to get to do that and to get to represent is a lot of fun for me. I thoroughly enjoy it. I thoroughly appreciate it. You know, I went to my mom who, you know, she still has her Colombian accent. I was like, Mom, what do you think of this? Do you think this sounds good? She's like, yeah. You know, so we kind of like worked on it and played around with it. But that's really fun for me. It's a lot of fun. It's so fun to get to represent it. I know I've had some love already, on like Twitter and Instagram, and people asking, they're like, is she really Latina? Is she really Latina? And then to be like, yeah, I am. And then like everyone getting excited and be like, oh my God, that makes me so happy to hear. And like, that's cool, you know, and I love that. So I appreciate it and I have fun with it. So
that's beautiful. And I'm happy to hear. I wasn't like sure specifically what origins, but I had a feeling too, just from as well, like your last name. So I felt like like there's definitely like Latina in there, and what you bring up about that is very important, because I know a lot of friends of mine specifically, because of being lighter or looking more like maybe, you know, European in a way too, like people don't believe that they are, or like know until they're told. So you heard it here first, folks. She's Latina, and she was very inspired when doing Vora, and I think that's beautiful. And you can hear it, like, just as somebody who's played the character, you can hear like what you were trying to put in that coming through the character. So you crushed it. So don't let anyone say
for anyone, I mean, para todas las personas que hablan español, para los que no entienden o que quieren saber de todo de Paladins, a mí me encantó hacer la voz de Vora. So I know I have people sometimes asking me like, does she speak Spanish? So there you go.
She did it. I didn't hear. I have friends in Spain. I didn't hear any Spain accent though. I know the Spain accent. They always do the. They do the the TH sound with a lot of stuff. So
yeah, pues si es un acento más español te lo puedo hacer, pero para ahora I do the cleaner version that's more Colombian, so that it's a little cleaner for like most of Latin America to understand. So yeah.
Our fans, like, they're probably like in love with this right now, because like I think I stated before, we have a huge Brazil community, and like that's South America, but like we also, and that's Portuguese, but they still like many are actually like bilingual with Spanish and Portuguese that I've talked to, as well as we have a big Latin America community as well. So
well,
that's amazing.
Eu não falo português, pero entendo pouquinho. So I don't speak Portuguese, but I understand a little bit.
There you go.
And I know I've seen you know, a huge amount of love already on social media for Vora and your voice work. So it's so awesome.
Thank you.
So 2 more questions before going into dev talk, which we're gonna still wrangle you in and keep you here, because we have some questions at the end from some fans for you as well. So besides Vora, what projects have you enjoyed working on the most?
The most? Okay. So every project kind of is special for me for different reasons. I would say, so growing up, I was a gigantic fan of the Tomb Raider franchise. And so I was obsessed with Lara. And I think she probably influenced a lot of my things in life. Like I went to college, and one of my my concentrations was like anthropology and archaeology and stuff. And I love rock climbing. So I was very influenced, I think, in that realm. For me, I was part of their community. So we had, their community leader there and stuff too. But I ended up getting to do motion capture as Lara for Shadow of the Tomb Raider's big cinematic trailer. And so I'm not the voice, and I didn't do the whole entire game, but getting to be Lara for those, whatever long it is, like it's every like iconic thing that Lara does. That was a huge one for me personally, just as like a feat for like an 8-year-old Stephanie who was excited about Tomb Raider, and then getting to be Lara. Like that was a big deal.
It's like I did it.
Yeah. So that was super cool. I also got to do mocap in like the newest Star Wars game that came out. But as far as like, that's like the mocap side, I would say as far as voice work goes, my favorite project that I get to, kind of voice a very iconic character for it is in Resident Evil 2, the newest remake that came out. I get to play Claire Redfield. So that's been a lot of fun because it's a very iconic character that I got to recreate and make my own. So that was yeah, so that was like super special for that. And she also, I got to put a little spin and twist on her, and she cusses a lot. So for people that don't like cussing, maybe not a good idea. But for everybody else who loves it, yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, every project is just, there's something special about it. Like I said, with Vora, the special thing for me was that she was Latina, and I got to play that. And she's a villain. She's one of the first villains I got to voice. I've done villains, like I've done facial capture for villains. Like I did stuff for Doom as Olivia Pierce, and things like that. But Vora was the first villain. I play a lot of good guys. I don't get to play a lot of bad guys, and that's exciting. But yeah, but I would say favorites that have a good place in my heart. I would say for sure, as Claire Redfield in Resident Evil 2, getting to do mocap as Lara, and then Vora is getting to be a villain and a Latina.
That's amazing. Yeah, I'm sure there's nothing wrong to getting you're saying about being Claire. You get to work beside Leon Kennedy, so that can't be too bad. Sounds like a good time.
Not at all. Although he's far too pretty for anybody, so
he can just look at himself in the mirror. It's okay. But so other than that, final question for just the time being before we get into the fan questions. What are some of your goals and aspirations as a voice actress for the future?
Goals and aspirations. It's funny. There's goals and aspirations like in different ways. Career-wise, I definitely, I want to keep building on, cool franchises, but I would also love to like start a new franchise, be a part of something new as well. I think is always exciting. So that would be really neat to get to do. I think, one of the things that I love that's just outside of the game side of everything from being an actor and like in voice and motion capture and stuff is the kind of the ability to have a community and the community that you build with that. So, my fan base has been so fantastic. It's been such a great, wholesome bunch of people, which is really funny. Like, people always ask me, they're like, oh, that must be really hard on the internet. You probably get like trolls and this and this and this. To be honest with you, I have the most wholesome, amazing community of fans that are so fantastic that I really love that. So some of my goals and aspirations is just to continue a really great, wholesome community and fan base and having somewhere for people to come if they want to see whatever it is that I do to kind of inspire in like good, positive ways, even if I'm playing a villain, even if it's dark games that I'm in, even if it's, whatever it is, like that's super exciting for me. So I really love that in like, which is still part of the career, but it's like the extraneous, like bonus that you get out of it, but then as far as just like career wise, I mean, just keep doing it, keep getting to play more characters and do more things. Like I want to know that I've like my range, has been able to go from, like I said, from kids to monsters to elderly to badass to like villain to good guy to like that for me is what I love. I love to play. So getting to just do more of this, I'm good with it.
That's so fantastic. I know that shared experience that you can share as as the voice actor with your fans is one of the coolest things, right? Like yes, I'm that character, and you loved that. You engaged with that IP or that character yourself in different ways, and sharing that with somebody who is that voice, I think, is one of the coolest connections you can have in kind of the creative industry.
Oh, it definitely is, and it's funny because people don't realize, like, I mean, I'm a fan too. Just because I'm an actor, you know what I mean, and I get to work professionally on these things doesn't mean I'm not a fan. So it's exciting. I get, goosebumps. Oh, by the way, I'm very proud of the trailer that you guys created for Vora. Like, I'm not kidding. I was very proud of it. Like, I went around and I was like, all right, I need to show you guys this. Like, I sent it to all my family, sent it to my friends.
Look, it's me.
Like, that's you? Yeah, they were like, that's you? I'm like, yeah, I know. Isn't that cool?
You're like, look how scary I can be.
Look how cool I am.
Graceful at the same time. Yeah, no, that when we first saw that behind the scenes, like before it was released to the public, and Thomas added in your audio to the cut, it was like goosebumps. Like us, the employees, were like getting goosebumps because of the voice. Like finally hearing your voice for her with that like animatic. And yeah, I mean, I can just tell you, like, that was the general response. People are like, I love it. So yeah, you definitely deserve to like just show that to everyone and like, you know, not necessarily rub it in their face, but be like,
no,
yeah, like you said, you said though, like, that's me. Like you have every reason to be proud of that.
Well, it was like, yeah, it was like my voice going into it, but visually, like it felt so good. Like it was like a great like origin trailer to what's about to happen, and seeing that shift, you know, like all of it, like visually it was beautiful, you know? So it was just like one of those things where it's like, holy crap, oh my God, look at this. You know?
It's happening.
Yeah. So very exciting.
Well, thank you so much. You know, I appreciate you taking the time to answer like our initial questions here for that interview. And then you know, pretense, I already appreciate you sticking around for answering some fan questions in a little bit. But we are going to transition here to our next segment called Dev Talk.
Woo-hoo!
Ta-da!
Ta-da!
Voila.
And yeah, voila, we're there. So I'm going to start just asking a little bit to Kevin, but I want to give a couple more this time to Kyle since he's joining us for his first time on here. So Kevin, you know, we can review kind of, you know, the last podcast was very much around voice acting, and I think you did write Corvus's, right?
I did.
You did not write these ones, but with that being said, what to you is one of the most exciting parts about the voice pack for Vora? And do you feel it meshed well with her design since you were her designer?
Yeah,
and how is that important?
Yeah, for sure. So I did not have the pleasure, unfortunately, as you said, of writing Vora, although I am super happy with how it turned out. But from my end, I do handle, I'd say maybe a third of the voice packs for champions and skins at this point. And I love it. It's one of my favorite aspects of the position. The brief rundown, I think, as you said, we mentioned this kind of in the last podcast, but I'll do a brief rundown of like how it works from my end, and then talk a little bit about, you know, what I think makes it just so amazing. And then we get to hear more about what Kyle does as well, if we manage to wrangle him back. But so from my end, what we do is we generally we have an amazing art team. We work with the art team to get kind of a visual idea of what this character, what the skin, you know, we have more skins than champions come out, what the skin may look like, what kind of person are they, is usually done by, you know, whoever's assigned the skin or whoever wants to write that voice pack. For example, I can talk about Corvus. I can talk about. Can I talk about upcoming stuff? Probably not. No spoilers.
Maybe like a hinty without giving anything away, just to tease everyone.
A hint without giving anything away.
That's hard to do, right?
That's kind of tough. That's kind of tough. Let me say. Okay, I'll say that somebody is getting a skin relatively soon who has not had one in a long time. So that's as much hint as we get.
There you go, folks.
Regardless,
Time to guess.
let's go with Murnos, for example. Let's go with Murnos Genos, the fishman himself. So we had this visual representation. I had some idea. I was tossing around ideas of what kind of character I would want to be presented here. It's a little bit of what don't we have. It's a little bit of what would be fun, but not cliche or not oversaturated. So I went with this kind of Prince of the Seas, who's very preening and is, you know, he's sexy and he knows it kind of thing. Like, you know, peasants, I'm the Prince of the Seas. I'm gorgeous. Kind of dynamic. And then from there, you know, I will, and I do want to make it clear that at every point in this process, we're getting feedback from internal people who are interested in the voice acting process. It's not like I just slap it down, send it off, and that's what happens. So I'm kind of just the guiding hand as we navigate through. But I get feedback about, okay, do you think this would be cool? Does it match the visuals of the character? I'll write up some casting notes, and usually some sample lines. step into the tides and drown kind of thing, just so the talent can kind of show me or do their own thing, get some, basic auditioning in, and I'll send those casting notes out. I'll get auditions back. I usually go through average is probably around 100 per character, between 20, depending on how many voice lines I gave them and how many takes they do, between 20 seconds and just over a minute usually. And I do my best to give them all at least one listen through, because even if the mic quality may be suffering, sometimes you can really find a voice that just speaks to you, so to speak. I'll go through those auditions, and I'll get some feedback from other people. I'll break it down to kind of a short list of 5 or 6, voice actors who I think may fit the specific skin. Again, get more feedback and say, okay, we're going to go with this person. We send that out, and we sit down with them and we record with them. And for me personally, I kind of like to establish, ground rules feel so formal, but I like to establish kind of a mutual understanding of a baseline of the character, what I had in my head, but also one of the favorite things, and actually I'd love to hear about this from you, Stephanie, as well, but one of the favorite things for me is, this is what I have in my head, but if you feel like you have an understanding of the character, I would love to hear if there's a word or a phrase that either we want to tweak or we want to add or remove that feels more in line with our mutual understanding. I think that's part of the most, one of the most fun things in the voice recording session. So I'll go through the session. We'll kind of, and especially with Myrnos, who's very smooth, we hit that middle ground of understanding what the character was very quickly. And then we just ran through it, bouncing off of each other a couple times, like, hey, let's try that again with this word or this inflection or this tone, or let's try this, slightly different phrasing. And then when that happens, we get the audio files back. I ship it off to our amazing audio team, Thomas Waddle D, who in fact wrote Vora. And then they'll do their magic, and we get it in the dev game, the dev client, and then we make sure it works properly, and then it gets out to the wild. That's kind of the not so quick rundown, but that's what I do.
It's a lot of work, but there's a man for the job, and it's you.
2 thumbs. This guy.
So with that said, thank you, Nico, for giving the rundown of that. But I know we want to give a lot of time to Kyle, before we end this, since it's usually always a community manager and Nico doing this and bringing on our guests. So, Kyle, welcome again. We already kind of said that, but welcome again. Oh, okay.
Oh, hello. Happy to be here. So happy to be here.
No, you. Please introduce yourself to us and, tell us a little bit about your team and what you do.
Sure. I'm Kyle Hickey. I'm the technical artist on Paladins at the moment. I work very closely with the animation team, kind of in charge with getting our animation team's work into game, getting it set up with our programming, things like that, troubleshooting parts of the character, general technical artist stuff, which can usually be a whole lot of different things. But yeah, that's generally my position on the team at the moment.
Yeah. I know back when we were still in the studio, I would pass the cubicles and it was always you like right next to the animators. So you literally also work closely to each other back when we were not working.
Yeah, we like to be in physical proximity. Brett Jackson, one of the animators on our team, lives right. I could probably point to his apartment right now. He lives right over there. So we like to keep in close proximity. That's the key. Is you got to be close to the people.
You got to be close. Doorbell rings, opens the door. Kyle's right in the doorstep. Like, hey, Brett.
He hates it. Yeah. He hates it.
You like open your balcony door. You like look over.
Yeah.
He's like watching us right now. Please don't come over today.
Bathroom wall.
He says, stop printing the JIRAs and bringing them over. Just email them to me. I said, no, we got to talk about them.
Well,
generally technical art, when it comes to video games, can mean a lot of different things. It always depends on what the game is and what the team needs. Because we're a games as a service model, And because we always have content in the pipeline for a game like Paladins, it means making sure everything is moving forward, making sure everyone on the team has what they need and has their problems solved to get the content in the game and eventually get it to the customer.
Yeah. Well, your team sure has been killing it. You killed it. Your team. Technically tech art, right? You said you are the tech artist, right? I just want to make sure I got that correct.
Of all tech artists, I'm the one.
The one.
The
one.
Yeah,
only
starring
the one.
Jet Li.
A big V. Capital THE.
Yep.
So, can you please explain in your best words what tech art is to people who are not familiar with it?
Sure. Generally, I think the best way to sum up technical art is we're usually the intermediary between the programming and the artistic teams on most games. And again, that can mean a lot of things. If you go and look at job listings from any studio, technical art will always have different descriptions based on what the game is. It can mean rigging. It can mean shader work. It can mean mostly debugging. When you're working on a game like Paladins and only having one technical artist, usually it means all of that stuff at once. A big part of my job is a lot of times when bugs show up in the game, they'll come to me and I'll usually either fix them myself or send them to whatever team could fix them. If it's something specific like programming or an animation issue. But yeah, as far as technical art goes, if you want to be a technical artist, the best thing to do is learn everything. And then...
no pressure.
Yeah, and
just know everything.
Everything.
Yeah,
just know
it's
everything.
easy.
Know it all.
So
Yeah.
easy.
It's pretty fun. Knowing how hard the team on Paladins works, and game developers in general, being the guy that they kind of look to help them solve problems is incredibly rewarding, because you know that these are top level artists and really passionate people, and you want to enable them as much as possible.
Well, that's
Kyle is the glue that keeps the game together, protecting the soft underbelly of game development.
Yeah, and the weird thing about glue is it's non-toxic and much tastier than you would expect. Like, people sleep on glue, but
you got to be close to your work.
I just
you are what you eat.
Evil Mojo does not condone eating glue, just to those out there.
Yeah, just to be clear.
Yeah, just for legal purposes. We don't condone glue eating.
Don't eat glue.
Fine.
Unless it's made of icing. Unless it's icing that you use on like gingerbread cookies to glue your houses together. That is allowed.
Yeah, edible icing. There you go. Like for the gingerbread houses. Yes, exactly. Good point.
That's why they don't let me
You're
at the
really
bake
the icing. You're really the icing on the cake,
Ooh,
So.
okay.
Wow.
All right.
He's like, man,
That was pretty sweet.
The taste of glue, though, it's like the creme de la creme. And anyways, without getting too off topic here, because we could probably keep making horrible jokes about this, let's say we go to this next question. What specifics did you work on that made you feel, or that you felt made Vora what she is?
Sure. I talked about it a little bit earlier, but I think Vora, correct me if I'm wrong, she has like the largest weapon out of any of the characters in our game. I think Terminus's weapon might be the only one that's
I was thinking
even
Term
close.
might be the competition there.
I
But he's a big old beefcake. It's like completely different with Vora. And we had to figure out just the best way to animate Vora. And if you play her in game, you'll notice that she has sort of two different states. There's a non-combat Vora, and then there's Vora when she's in combat. When she's not in combat, she's on the ground. We found we could get some really, really nice poses and nice animations out of that. And then as soon as she takes damage, as soon as she deals damage, we bring her to this floating state. And that lets her pirouette around her weapon. It lets her do flips around her weapon. It really lets us focus on the movement and not be limited by the restraints we would put on a typical character. Another thing about technical art, and when it comes to characters like this, is you always need to find a compromise between what you're trying to accomplish and what you have available. With Vora, we wanted a ballerina style dancing animation kind of presentation. And to accomplish that, we had to generate kind of two completely separate anim sets for Vora. It was a large amount of work relatively to another character, but we were really happy with what we delivered because it was pretty much exactly what we were aiming for.
Yeah, I mean, what you just said, like you deliver that through the game, because I know myself playing it and all the fans that have been playing it in their streams, they have been like loving everything about like her grace and, you know, her movement and, you know, abilities. So yeah, you all as a team crushed that.
There's one thing in 1P for Vora that goes under the radar is during her attack chain, she does two of her attacks sort of from the same side. She does two slashes that kind of go from the same side. And we struggled a little bit if we wanted to put that in the game because we didn't want to imply Vora's head was staying stationary and her body was like spinning around twice. But it's stuff like that where the player doesn't really notice. And if I hadn't said anything right now, no one probably would ever notice that. But the cat's out of the bag. Vora's an owl.
Literally unplayable.
Unacceptable.
Unacceptable.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Please don't tell my boss.
Yeah.
yeah, I wish I had known this before I went in that I had that owl element too. Because now rethinking about it, I should have probably said the word "who" a lot more. So
Who is Vora? Who?
Who am I?
Oh my goodness.
Anyways.
No, that was great. I'm just imagining like too, you were saying like your animation, like you trying to like, well, my head stops here. I can't quite do the whole owl thing. But yeah, don't recommend trying that. That looks like it would hurt. So my last question to you, Kyle, is do you have any advice for people wanting to get into tech art in the future? Other than just learn everything, because we know you already said that.
Definitely learn as much as you can. The nice thing about video games is that just relative to the age of things like movies and music, video games are a very new thing. And we still don't know where the industry is going to end up. And because of that, everything you learn becomes sort of another tool. And when it comes to being a technical artist, the more tools you have in your tool belt, generally the better you are at fixing things. So my advice would be, if you see something cool in a video game, if you see a laser beam cut through a wall, if you see a mesh deform in a cool way, or you see something that just really blows your mind, give it a Google. Someone out there probably has a tutorial that'll show you how to do it yourself. Unity, Unreal Engine. I started using Blender recently. Shout out Blender. A lot of people aren't going to like me saying that, but everyone should switch over to Blender. Applications like, so those are your game engines. Applications like Houdini are fantastic to look into as a technical artist. Hit it with a Google and then put the word tutorial after whatever you Googled. You'll be able to find things and start making stuff on your own. And that's probably my best advice to be a technical artist, is just learn the things that you want to make. And in that process, you're going to kind of just learn the tools that you need to get into the industry.
Yeah, I think that's excellent advice, because that's all stuff that they can build a portfolio with. And, you know, you got to have a portfolio of work for jobs like yours. So, yeah, excellent advice, Kyle. We greatly appreciate too, like you taking the time to join us, because we were looking for like people interested in this to join us and our voice actress. And you were our volunteer. And if you weren't just the volunteer, then it was Nico that sacrificed you to us. So
sure, and I believe this
I take full responsibility.
Oh, wait, did I pull my mic out? Can you guys hear me still?
I can hear you.
We can hear you.
All right, I thought I lost my mic. This does meet my hours for community service, correct?
We'll have to ask HR. I think we have to ask
PTO
HR.
for community service, right?
Yeah, I think you were supposed to wear the orange vest or else it's void, though. So unless you have that on.
Yeah.
You needed the high vis.
I was going to wear it, but it's November and that feels tacky. So
yeah, you just didn't want to outstyle us. That's the real reason. You didn't want to be more fashionable than us, right?
Don't ask me about fashion. Actually, that was a terrible joke. I probably just believe about fashion. What I know about fashion.
No, Kyle was super gracious. I was like, hey, would you be interested in something like this? He's like, I need to buy a webcam.
I did
So
just buy a webcam.
he actually got a webcam for not for this necessarily, but like because of this. Super gracious to join us, and one of my favorite people at Evil Mojo. Just saying, and that's not just because I need you to fix all my bugs.
Please stop.
He's like, I did this for you. Now you do this for me.
I did this for you. I
In
made
his
this for
pocket
you.
now.
Exactly.
I will say I'm so happy to be here. I know I was joking about it before, but it is super nice to be here, especially with Stephanie. Video games are like an audio visual format, and having someone here that contributes so much to that other half of the game and makes it so impactful is just fantastic.
Aw, that's sweet. See, this is what I love about it, is that what people don't realize sometimes, and I guess because as like being an actor, sometimes we get a lot of credit, like for being the voice of something, but it takes an entire team to create a game and to create characters. So, we've got Nico from like writing and directing, and then we've got everybody who's like developing and creating, and then making sure that there's no bugs and making sure there's no issues, that it goes out right, that, and then we've got, on the PR side and the community side and pushing all of this stuff out. And like, it takes an entire team to make this, And so as blessed and as fortunate as I get to, come in once a lot of work has been done and show up and be like, oh, let me grace you with my voice and my performance. But it takes everybody, and that's fantastic. So I love, being able to hear, all the different elements and hear what you guys do too, because sometimes I don't fully know. So it's super cool. And, I'm glad I do, get to help out with part of it. So.
Yeah. It's like, it all comes together.
Yep.
With that being said, we have our Q&As for Steph. So
Yay!
we're going to do some of those. So, the
Awesome.
first question is from a user on Twitter named Taquito247. Taquito asks, why do you sound so damn good?
That's a good question.
So I'll give you some time to answer this.
Wow. How do you answer that? Why do I
no
sound
pressure.
so damn good? Possibly the microphone we used. Maybe it was just a great sound stage.
You gotta love the modesty.
Yeah, I don't know. I lots and lots of practice, and thanks to my mom for working that voice out with me. So yeah, that's a great question though. I thoroughly appreciate it. Was it Taquito? What was it, Taquito? What was the last part of that?
247.
247. And if I'm going to say it in Spanish though, technically it should be said Taquito. 247. Thank you for that lovely question. Got me. I didn't know how to answer.
You got her blushing right now, so
yeah,
it's okay.
I need a better webcam though, Kyle. You'll have to tell me to get a better webcam because this lighting doesn't work for me. My contrast isn't working. You're not actually seeing the blushing coming through. So
I had to bring a lamp. I had to bring a lamp into my living room to adjust my lighting in here. So this is something a little.
Hasn't invested into a ring light yet.
No,
That's the magic. So question number 2 is from Libra, and her question is, which Vora voice line was your favorite to record?
My favorite to record. First off, I like the tag Libra. I am a Libra, so I appreciate that. But favorite voice line to record. So there was a lot that I really liked with Vora, which I kind of mentioned before, was that she's very specific to each different character and things like that. I love her smart assiness. Like, oh, was I allowed to say that bad word? Sorry.
We'll allow it. We'll allow one.
Yeah. But she, I guess, oh man, what was my favorite? I mean, obviously, Armageddon Approaches, I feel, is one that's used a lot throughout it, I think that was a fun one, but I kind of personally really like, what was one? This pain will make you stronger. I feel like is a very like, Vora line. Was it, I'm trying to think of how I delivered for that. It was like, this pain will make you stronger or something like that. I forget how it was when she would use her weapon. The other ones I thought were funny was that she doesn't really joke. She's not a jokester. So one of the ones that she says when she's joking about something, I pulled it up here so I make sure I don't screw it up, but it was, which was the one? It was struggle between apparently, oh no, it was this one. I'm not much for jokes, but there was a time I believed I truly cared about people. What was it? It was about Io, I believe, right? Because it was about Io. Oh, all of a sudden, like Io cares about people. But in hindsight, I find that hilarious. Like I loved like those kinds of lines that were very like big old stabs like Io. Like I thought those were the best personally, because you could tell that there was like a very distinct frustration there with her.
Yeah, she's throwing shade all the time, but it's up to the players and everyone else to determine if they think it's deserved or not, right? So
yeah, I mean, I would say it's completely deserved. Okay, come on.
Not biased. Speaking as Vora. Yeah.
I mean, as Vora. Yeah, no, as Vora. Totally as Vora.
Of course.
No, but there's a lot of really great lines. Like honestly, I haven't had a chance to play just yet. I do games, so maybe I'll end up picking it up. I'll just probably be really bad at the game. But you guys will all kick my butt. But I am intrigued to see which lines pop up. Kind of the most for certain ones, but I don't know. I just loved anything where she was just not very nice, even if it's to the player. No offense, guys, but I really enjoyed that.
I get to be mean.
I got to be mean. It's fun though. Like
you heard it here. It's fun to be mean.
Because I honestly am never mean. Like I'm all about like being super positive and kind and nice, but it was really fun.
See, when you were Claire, you're getting into like learning how to like, the cussing and all that, and then now you're just like full on baddie,
Yeah. Oh, full baddie all the way. So
yeah, Thomas did a really good job too when Thomas is sassy to begin with, so you can get some of the sass of Thomas kind of in her voice lines, I feel. Yeah, very sassy.
Yeah. No, definitely Thomas, definitely like it was fun because we got to play a lot. He gave me full range to play. Like if I was like, I feel like, could I do this like this or do this like this? And he was all like, yep, sounds good to me. Let's do that. So it was fun. We definitely got to kind of form her. And like, I remember asking him, I was like, or actually I remember saying like, oh, okay, so do their idle lines, right? And so he's like, yeah, he's like, whatever you want to do with it. And then when I got out, I remember the engineer, she was like, that was hilarious. She goes, I've been recording like all of these like idle lines with other characters, and people are like, usually the characters are really nice to people. She goes, you were just not nice. And it was great. And I didn't know how to take it at first because I was like, oh crap, should I be nicer? And then I was like, nah.
Nah, we're good. And to touch on that, to follow up on that, something that I mentioned earlier that I really wanted to ask you, Stephanie, is how often and how well do you like that kind of the freedom to explore the character? Like, is it, are there some times where it's like, I have exactly how I want you to say this line, and you have to say it exactly as I imagine it, or is it, that exploration kind of what makes it fun?
I mean, I love to play. Like, I love discovering and I love collaborating because, like I said before, it is a team effort. And I think the best projects and the best games and the best shows and everything is when it is a team collaboration and you kind of like do play. And I'll always like, I'm that actor that if I don't believe something, I'm going to tell you I don't believe it, and I'm going to ask you why you want me to say this and where this is coming from, because maybe I'm a pain in the ass, but probably just because I really care. So like, I want to give like a true and telling performance. I want it, you know, I want you to feel it behind whatever line it is that I'm going to say. So for me, it's fun discovering and playing. And sometimes I'll usually give a line the way that I think, a director might want it first, and I'll be like, all right, this is probably what they want. And then I like to give, what we call like, we give ABCs, which for those people that don't know the VO world, an ABC is giving 3 different takes of something, giving in variety. And I love giving variety. So anytime I do stuff like, you're going to get something different, and I'm going to give you one that you may have no idea you were going to get. And the funny part about it is most of the time that gets chosen. So like, I love that. Or I'll ask you, I'll be like, did you believe that? Or I'll be like, oh man, that was crap. Should we do something else? Like, and I'm okay with that. So yeah,
I can personally confirm when I get A/B takes, especially it's most fun for me in auditions. So I'll have an idea in my head. I'll get A/B takes or ABC takes from actors, and then they hit that second, that third take. I'm like, you know what? That let's do that instead, kind of thing. And it's the coolest thing.
Isn't it funny? It's because I feel like as people, we have an idea in our head of what we always want to do, but then like just throwing something at the wall, because why the hell not? Like, it ends up sometimes creating the character. Sometimes you discover something new about the character. Like, like I said with Vora, like the thing that I realized, it was like for me, what I realized with her is like, sometimes you get a villain and it's a little bit more 2-dimensional, and it's like, okay, I'm just the bad guy because I'm a bad guy and that's it. You know what I mean? But with her, there was like lines in there. And I think where I really, really, really found her was when it would go through each player that she's talking to, and there would be the reason and the justification for why she does everything that she does and why she does it, and all of that. And I think that's where like you really find that character. For me with Vora was like, she's not just a bad guy. Like, it's not just because of that. Like, she tried to be a good guy. She did her darnest to follow, you know what I mean? Like, what her God would say and stuff. And it didn't go anywhere. It didn't help out. It was not worth it. You know what I mean? And everybody died because of it. And so now she's really just trying to ease the pain for the entire, I guess, world, we'll say, And so that's why she does what she does, because she, in a weird way, cares about everybody.
I love hearing this from you. I'm part of the lore team who created Vora. So hearing you describe to me who she is and how you gathered that from the voice lines is, I love it.
You're making him be a fanboy.
I know. I'm fanboying my own game. What's going on?
Yeah.
Let's go.
What have I become?
So I have 2 more questions for you. Yeah. Question number 3 is from Unbroken DDL. And they ask, if you could visit one country for the rest of your life, where would it be? Brazil loves you. Vora's voice lines are awesome. Heart.
Aw. Well, Unbroken DDL, I feel like, so I have to say this first. I haven't been to Brazil yet. And I do need to visit Brazil badly. 1, because I would love to eat the Brazilian food. 2, because the beaches are fantastic. 3, because I have a lot of Brazilian friends. They're some of my favorite people. But let's see, if I could go visit any country. I've been to, I think, 14 countries to date. And I do love travel. So if I could visit, and wait, sorry, the question was if I could stay there or just visit in general?
Just be able to visit it for the rest of your life. Like, I believe that means like keep going back,
Ooh,
like you would have full access to go there whenever you want.
Oh man, that's a hard one. You're asking like an avid traveler. I will say one of my favorite countries that I have been to is Thailand. But that's hard when you haven't seen everything. Gosh, that's a hard one. This isn't fair. I do want to go to Brazil though. This isn't fair.
Well, we'll accept that as an answer.
Yeah. I will say, gosh darn it. Yeah, it would probably have to be Thailand if I can keep going there, just because I've had a fantastic, I did like a 5-week backpacking trip throughout Thailand and Cambodia and Laos. And Thailand has been one of my favorite countries for food and adventure, because I'm very, very adventurous. So I'll have to say
Tomb Raider.
Thailand. Oh my God. Oh, and actually, okay, sorry, this is me being a nerd now, but I got to visit in Cambodia. There is an Angkor Wat, and they have the jungle temple there. And that's where they shot some of Tomb Raider. And I did go there. And but that was in Cambodia. But yeah, very Tomb Raider-esque. And it was like raining, and there was like monkeys like swinging through the trees, and it was like this like big temple that was like all like overgrown by but yeah, anyways. But yeah.
No, that's amazing. That's like, that makes it even more of like a wholesome adventure for you.
Ooh, so much so. Yeah.
So
but Brazil I will go to
go
at
ahead.
some point. Sorry, I just want to say one thing, because I do have to go to Brazil. I have a huge fan base in Brazil too from Resident Evil. There's a giant Resident Evil fan base there as well. So the fact that you guys have a big, South American and Brazilian community as well for Paladins is fantastic. So it's on the list when all this madness of COVID goes away. And if I get invited to like a Brazilian game show or something like that, that would be fantastic. So I'll meet everyone then.
Invite her as a guest for your, I think they do actually a really big game show, convention in Brazil every year. And I think it got canceled this year because of COVID, but yeah, they go hard at that. So if you go there, you're going to have like a bunch of people probably cheering like, Claire, Vora, there you go.
Yeah.
So our final question comes from a user named Aunt Simone, and they go, did this project with Vora and Paladins differ from your past work? So I know you kind of touched on that a little bit, but was there anything else maybe that like didn't come to mind? Like I know you mentioned with this so far, which I didn't know if you'd answer this or not, so I picked these beforehand. But you said you got to be the bad guy this time. Was a big one.
Yeah, that was a big one. Like I said, I've done I did facial capture, but not like the voice of a villain before. So that's the one thing that I would say differed the most, would be that. And then this is the first, funny enough, there's another character that I play in something that hasn't come out yet that I am a Latina character in, but it was a different kind of Latina. So that was interesting, because I had to find within the same similar time frame, I had to figure out different Latinas, and like how to portray them differently. So I would say the biggest one though was being a villain. One thing I would also say is that even though she's a character that, she's obviously a very good looking character. She's an attractively, drawn character, for lack of a better word. But we did not play her as a sexy character, so which I thought was really cool, because even though physically she might be a very sexy character, she doesn't portray herself as that. And it's not like very like thick, like layered on to like, this is a sexy villain. Like, no, we didn't go for that. And I thought that was really fun, because she does feel very strong then. So she feels very feminine with all her movement that is, like a ballerina, and has all of that gracefulness to her. But she's not sexualized. She's very, she just feels very strong, so, which I thought was really good, because there's that nice little balance of femininity, but strength at the same time. So I thought that was really fun to kind of balance with this character.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent take. I definitely feel that too, because like definitely on the outside, she looks like a very attractive woman, but she doesn't use that as her like, drive or kit or anything. It's her determination. So you kind of hit the nail on the head there, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that really is all we kind of have today. But with that being said, I would like to, in conclusion, just, thank you so much, Steph, for joining us. And thank you, Kyle, as well, for joining us for your first time, for being our newest Evil Mojo guests. And I would like to give this time to give either of you a chance to plug in any of your socials, or, like if you stream, any of that, just to kind of put in your plugs. Go ahead.
I don't
I feel like
stream.
Kyle is ready.
First of all-
Kyle, tell us all the
First of
things.
all-
Where do we find you?
I don't stream. I own a toaster oven,
Okay.
and I need to buy a Halo light. But I really love my toaster oven. I'm on Twitter at Dynamo3D. There's some numbers in it. You can see it here. You guys know what I'm trying to point at. Anyway, I'm on Twitter. That's where I post some of my work. If you go there, you'll be able to see some of the work that I've done on Paladins. I post it kind of infrequently, but some stuff I've done shader work and some of the cool things that we're working on there for Paladins. I'll post on my Twitter on occasionally, but that's pretty much it for me.
Okay. And Steph?
Let's see. So I'm the only Stephanie Panisello in the world. So the easy way to probably find me is just Google Stephanie Panisello. Maybe don't look at every single link, because there's some interesting paths that will take you there. Not because of me, interesting people online, but Steph_Panisello for Twitter. And then Stephanie Panisello on Instagram. I also do stream on Twitch. My handle on there is Because I Claire, which is a pun on a line that Claire says, which is because I care. So Because I Claire on there. Yeah, I would say you can probably check out all that stuff. Also, if anyone's a fan, I know I didn't really mention this, but Trials of Mana is another game I was recently in. That's a good guy. I play the fairy that's like literally in your head the entire time. And then if anyone's a fan of Shing, I play Bachiko in there. I was trying to think of any other new recent games that have been out, but yeah, so if you guys want to check me out on that, like I said, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Oh, I'm also on Facebook, and Twitch. So everything is under my name, Stephanie Panisello, unless it's Because I Claire on Twitch. And I'm streaming right now. I'm doing Alien Isolation. So if you like to see people get scare the crap out of, I'm really great with jump scares. I scream all the time, and it's very genuine. I'm not lying. I'm terrified of the game. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, you've worked on a game where I was telling you before, I was being terrified as I was being stalked by Mr. X. So yeah, I know what that, I can relate to what you're saying there. And with that being said, obviously I'm on Twitter as HiRezRomanova, and Nico is HiRezNeco on there. That's correct, right? And yeah, this should be available hopefully by Friday on the audio archives for Spotify and iTunes, and then also YouTube should be uploaded as well. So other than that, folks, we're probably going to be having an update show for the first patch of 2021. I believe it's December. Let me have my calendar here. I believe it's going to be December 2nd, or sometime around there. So we'll keep you posted. Make sure you follow Paladins Game on social media for all those updates. But until then, make sure you're playing Vora. And again, Steph, thank you so much. Kyle, thank you. And Nico, thank you. And I think this was a very successful Evil Mojo Podcast, episode 3. Any last words from any of you? If not, we can just cheer.
Armageddon approaches.
I was just about to say it. Armageddon.
All right, no, you do it better. You do it better. You do it.
Do it again.
All right. Armageddon approaches.
You heard it here, folks.
Yes.
And with that, we're going to sign off. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day.